submission matters, right? I mean, everybody wants submission in a relationship as long as it's from the other end and not their own. I know that there are a lot of men out there who throw the Bible verse, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21, throw it up like a flare into the sky to their wife, which says, "Therefore, wives, submit unto your husbands as unto the Lord." It's kind of like the perfect verse if you want to manipulate your wife into doing what you want her to do, because she's supposed to submit. The problem is that's out of context. If you back up one verse, Ephesians 5:20, it says, "Therefore submit one to another," and then it gives you an understanding of how. Submit one to another, next verse, "Wives, submit unto your husbands as unto the Lord." But what does that mean? That means, ladies, you know that your husband has heard from God and you can trust the decision he makes. And the verse after that, verse 22, it says, "And husbands, love your wives the same way Jesus loved the church." Jesus didn't want to go to the cross. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he fought against it. He said, "Father, take this cup from me." But because he loved the church, because he loved us, he submitted to the Father's will. So here's what we understand. Submission is this. Wives need to submit to husbands, but only if they know that the husband, A, has heard from God. So he's got to prove himself, right? Look, there's nothing worse than being under a man who doesn't know God, who's not intimate with God, because then you're trusting him on a whim, and it usually falls apart. So men, we got to do our part. We got to be willing to build our relationship with God so we can hear him, we can be intimate with him, and we can go to our wives and say, "Look, I really believe this is what God has told us to do. I know you're not in favor, but trust me." Men, it also means that when you don't know what to do, when you are not sure, like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, you are willing to die to your own wants, needs, and desires and say, "Okay, honey, I haven't heard from God, so we'll do it your way." But that might not be what's best. But unless you heard from God, you will die to your wants, needs, and desires, and you'll do it her way. Look, years ago, I was at a church. I was making great money, loved my job. People love everything. And I came home one day and I told my wife, "I think I'm supposed to plant a church." It did not go over well. No, she lost her stuff. And she marched out of the bedroom into the bathroom. She took a shower. She was all upset. She came back out and the boys were in the room. So I was hoping, like, let's not get into this with the boys in the room. But she walked over to me. She whispered in my ear, "I trust you. I will do whatever you think we should do." I'm thinking, what was in the shampoo? What happened? After the boys left, I said, what happened in the shower? She said, "God told me that you had heard from him, and so I can trust you." The bottom line is this, guys, there's nothing sexier to a woman than a husband who knows God, hears his voice, and is willing to lead the family. And when he doesn't, he's willing to die to himself like Christ died for the church and say, "Okay, honey, let's do it your way." Submission is important, but only if you understand what true biblical submission is. Hope you get it right. And remember, love is a choice.